It is Live with Val, and so glad you could come on. We're talking about a few different topics tonight, all very Plutonian themes. So I've got an eye-opening show tonight that includes reports that Ryan Reynolds cheated on actress Scarlett Johansson with Blake Lively. We've got some charts to review for them. I have a special guest who's going to join us live. She has, I feel like my background is about to fall over. It's Mercury retrograde. But I have a special guest that's going to join us live. I've spoken to her before, so it's safe this retrograde. She has used astrology to forecast tricky situations and the motives of two ex-husbands, and we will look at some of her astrological charts with her. Scarlett was married to Ryan Reynolds back in 2009, and it was 2010 that Blake Lively came on the scene and started shooting the Green Lantern that year with Ryan. And it really wasn't reported. Scarlett wanted to keep it private, but now everybody's gone crazy. And I will tell you this, she decided that she was going to premiere her film during Mercury retrograde, which often just brings chaos. And so I think that's part of the reason some of this news is coming out. Blake and Ryan met on the set of Green Lantern while Ryan and ScarJo were still married. Blake was with someone else. She was dating her Gossip Girl co-star Penn Badgley. So, Ryan was just saying, we were buddies then, blah, blah, blah. And so now everyone is spilling their secrets on Blake Lively, including people from behind the scenes. It's a little bit awkward. It's awkward. ScarJo on the right and Blake and Ryan on the left. And this is Scarlett Johansson's birth chart. And funny how she has the same kind of birth chart with Gemini, the twin sign, also multiple. It means two or more. And that's in her 7th house of partners. So could mean two or more partners, could mean two partners that look alike, that maybe do the same thing. They could have the same name. Now, we saw this with Ben Affleck's birth chart where he would be married to two women named Jennifer. So there's that two theme there. And so she could probably tell from her birth chart that she was going to have more than one husband, which is what the 7th house represents. The other thing, though, is that there's Chiron in there, and that is deep wounds that come from the 7th house. We are going to look at some wedding charts today, the time, location, and date of when people get married. With Blake Lively, she got married to Ryan Reynolds. And I'm going to show you that wedding chart in a second. But when we look at wedding charts, we're going to look at Jupiter for the husband, and we're going to look at Venus for the wife. That's the first thing you look at in a wedding chart. And basically the timestamp of the wedding. But there's also some other things you can look for too. You can look at the first Lord planet and the 7th Lord planet. The first Lord planet of the wedding chart is the husband. The 7th Lord planet is the wife. And you could also look at the 9th house of the wedding chart for the state of the marriage. So it can give some indicators. This is just an example, but you can see how it's doing. If there's a lot of malefics in there, it's not always a good thing. And you can also look at the 9th house Lord and see what shape it's in, meaning the planet that rules the 9th house. This is, it's right. Here's the thing about ScarJo's 7th house. It's still a little bit conjunct the devil degree. So that's Algol. And so this can mean really it can mean alcohol. And not to say that there's any kind of problem with Ryan Reynolds, but what does he have right now? He has I think it's like an extremely successful alcohol company. So that's part of his profile. So, but it can show that people can do devious things to you, devilish acts. Interesting how her North Node is right on Algol. Now, I do see that when you have Algol types of themes, especially for women, it tends to mean that the woman is very attractive. And, it's kind of the Medusa planet where you look at her and you turn to stone, like don't even bother messing with her. And that's come across, I think, with ScarJo because she's a tough cookie. We're going to look at her solar return chart. And actually, before I do that, let me just say hi to everybody. I know, I think so too. Scarlett and Colin are such a beautiful pairing. He seems like a nice guy. There's a lot of, we see Sen, which is Scarlet, and that would show a Leo type of energy. So you're always going to see with Leos, they like to play superheroes. They're the beasts, they're the heroes, and definitely the case with Ryan. He's got Leo in his chart, and it's pretty amazing. So she's done very well as a superhero character in her life. Some of her characters do bring that sensitive side, but if you mess with her money, she will come after you. And so she has that problem with the streamers where they were streaming her movies, and she's like, no, you better pay me. So yes, he does. Here she is in her solar return chart. And we use these solar return charts to kind of predict what's going to happen. So this is her solar return chart for the year that Ryan goes off and films with Blake Lively. And nothing was ever said about anything like this. This is just coming out now, which is pretty remarkable. They kept it on the DL. So she is going to be ScarJo. Scarlett is going to be Jupiter. And you can see that Jupiter's in Aquarius this year. This is basically wanting to keep a divorce a secret or keep the reason a secret. But Aquarius is divorce, and it's in the second house. There's a lot of energy here with Neptune, which could show maybe filming. And here is a lady here, Venus. She does not want the filming to go with this woman. I could see that she probably didn't want him filming with her. And so you could see this big T square. And what's on the other side of Scarlet is Mars. And this is being pissed. Leo is the superhero movie of the Green Lantern. Second house is Taurus. It's green. That's a stretch, but so what we want to do, and this starts in 2009. So this is November 2009, and then it goes all the way around till her next birthday. So Mercury is going to be her 7th house sign, and so we're going to look at Mercury in the 12th. Now, when we have the 7th house in the 12th, it's not all the time, they disappear. They go away for good. Not always. Sometimes they're traveling. At the very least, you may not see them. But in this case, you can see that Mercury, representing Ryan Reynolds, because it's the Lord of the 7th, there is a sextile to the moon and Black Moon Lilith. So moon can be a woman, could be a sexy woman, a tempting woman here. And this, I think, is Blake. And the reason I say that is because you would count 5 signs for the husband's lover. And sure enough, Venus in Scorpio there, somebody who wants to keep something secret. So she's right there. And also, look at how Jupiter is squaring her. So it's in Pluto, it's in Scorpio. It's a lot of jealousy. And probably she knew before anything even really happened with them, because you can see early on in that year, before, like, they started filming like around here. You can see that there was trouble, but you can see that this is Blake and this is Scarlett, and see how there's just a complete, tension, trouble, war. And so very, very tough year for her. And this is her transit chart. Just want to make sure you can see that. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. Um, okay. So we're going to look for her transit. We're going to look at Mercury again. Okay. And he is right here. This is Ryan. And you can see there is a square with Saturn up here where things are cold, things are stopped, super, super difficult. And then a square to Uranus, which is a divorce, a breakup. So it's cold, there's a breakup. It is very, very, a very sad time, I think. That was mainly the biggest thing. I see this all the time with the Saturn square to the seventh house lord. It's very difficult. So, so you would look at Mercury, and you could also look at Jupiter here. And here is a big one that I see all the time. Jupiter conjunct North Node. Husband lies, husband deceives. And you also see some, I think this was in here. Neptune is a hotel. So his Ryan was in a, in a hotel. I think she might have tried to get some spies in there too. There's, Neptune is spies, hotel, pools, all that kind of stuff. So looks like there was some attempt to uncover what was happening there. So it was a drama-filled year. Now I'm going to look at the lunar eclipses real quick, and then I'm going to bring on Sunny. And so if you just Google what's a lunar eclipse in the seventh house, it shows that there can be upheavals in big relationships ranging from emotional shocks, deepening intimacy, or breaking up. Not all the time. I know plenty of people who've gone through, these lunar eclipses in the seventh house or passing over the seventh house lord. It could be another part of the chart, and they're still together somehow. But there's help, there's trines, there's things that kind of help them out in their chart. But a lot of times it is something that comes in that is completely unexpected. And then you've got to basically deal with it. So here is Scarlett's seventh house. There is the lunar eclipse. And this would be December 2010 when she filed for divorce, right as it was coming in her seventh house. Then, let me just take this off. Then you've got 2011 is when they went through the divorce. So she's still going through all of this stuff. She might have started another relationship because there's a solar eclipse. This is a lunar eclipse. This is a solar eclipse. She's starting maybe a new partnership of some sort. And then 2012. So she had to deal with a lunar eclipse going through her seventh. And by the way, this is the year that Ryan Reynolds got married to Blake Lively. And look at how it is just, it's hurtful. Chiron is just incredible pain and sadness. So really a bunch of difficult years, I think, for Scarlett Johansson. Okay. And I just wanted to actually show you my chart really quickly. My seventh house lord is in the third. So I actually, mine's like Sunny's. Mars rules my seventh house. And for 2 different years, I've got 2010 here and 2020. I had the solar eclipse running through here and hitting the lord of, first it was my husband, and then it was my, whatever you'd call him, what's his face. And these were extremely difficult years when it came to relationships. So these things are spot on. And by the way, my ex-husband, you can see this in not Scorpio, Capricorn. He had very dark hair, black hair. He was also very frugal, but he's still a friend, and he wouldn't mind that I said that. Now, so I just wanted to show you that. And really quickly, one more thing for Ryan Reynolds. This is his solar return chart. And take a look at what his wife is going to be like. She's going to be pissed. Look at how Mars rules his seventh house. And you can see a big T square. He is in freaking trouble that year. And then also I have an arrow here with Venus. And this is, somebody in the wings, somebody very beautiful, Libra, Venus in Libra. So that's somebody that's part of your secret. 12th house can be hidden enemies, but it can also be the secrets that you hold that nobody sees. And they kept it very, very secret. Also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth house Lord, which is lovers, Mercury here. So, there's somebody in there with them in a hotel. All right. I hate talking about it, but we got to look at the charts. We've got to learn, right? All right. So we're going to look at the wedding chart. I'm going to bring on Sunny. We're going to look at Sunny's wedding chart. Right now, we are looking at Blake Lively's chart with Ryan Reynolds. And you know what? You can see he's older. He's actually much older. I think he's 10 years older. And this is the groom here. So Saturn is way up here. He's in the ninth house. He likes the press. He loves the press. And you can see there's a nice trine to the bride, who is the moon is a good mother, somebody who helps him. They're getting along. And the thing is that you can see here that Venus is in the seventh house and there's a square here. So it might mean that he likes to be the one out there working in the press. He's like, you stay at home with the kids. And she doesn't seem to mind it, but she's on the circuit right now, launching her latest movie or promoting her latest movie. Okay. So we can look at that a little bit later. Okay, so this is Sunny's chart, but first of all, I'm going to say hello to her. Hey,
Hi, Val.
Sunny from the West Coast. How are you doing?
Good. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
We are so happy that you're here to help us, look through some of these charts, and it's always good to look at different examples. And so I guess maybe we should start with a quick background. Maybe you grew up on the West Coast, right?
Yes, I've lived on the West Coast my whole life. I'm in my mid to late 40s, and I've been married twice, engaged after my second divorce. I was a law enforcement for 15 years and recently retired. I have twins and a daughter, and yeah,
You've got
just kind of living my life.
a lot of stuff going on, a
I
lot of
know.
lessons learned when it came to relationships. And if you were, this is such a stereotypical question, but if you were to tell your younger self, what to do as you are going forward and thinking about marriage or thinking about who you want to spend time with, what would you tell her?
Buckle up. No. Well, partly buckle up and get a good lawyer. I don't know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
been really
totally.
rough.
I know it has. And I want to look at your birth chart too, because you can see there's a lot of areas in there, which, like I said, I can totally relate to.
Mhm.
Just things that happen that, make you mad, make them mad. It's really trying to manage an Aries type of energy there. So let me just do that real quick.
Thank you,
Okay.
darling. Hi, guys.
Oh, good. You can see. Great. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, I know. And all right. So here is your now, and I'm going to back up a little bit. Now, this is 2008 I'm looking at.
Yes.
And you kind of, would it be fair to say that you had like a starter marriage and then this would
Yes.
be the second marriage,
Which was really more like a real marriage.
the second one? Okay.
Yeah.
And when you were first, it's so interesting to see this. And I'm going to explain it in a second, but when you were first like planning your life with him, did you have any idea that, maybe things would change or that he wasn't really the person that you were looking at that moment?
No clue.
Okay.
No clue that it would turn into what it turned into.
That's amazing. So the time that you actually went down the aisle, Scorpio was at 29 degrees, which kind of, I know, it weakens the chart a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And now it's interesting because you've got Black Moon Lilith here, and this gives a profile of the groom.
Ouch.
And yeah, now Black Moon Lilith, if there's trines, the person can be very tempting, and I believe Black Moon Lilith is in Marilyn Monroe's first house, if I'm not mistaken. But it can show someone who is very attractive, and but if there's some squares, which we're going to see in a second, it can show that they might have some ulterior motives. Uh,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if he did at that point, but you can also see a little bit. You can see Pluto in there in his first house, which would show that there might be some down the road. Uh, I don't want to say betrayals, but there would be ways in
Mhm.
which there was jealousy and revenge
Yep.
that happened.
Mhm.
And so you're here over here. You're Venus, of course, and
We Oh, there we go. We can see it
yes,
better now.
yeah, we could see it better now. Now, one thing I wanted to go over too is earlier on in the show, I was saying how Jupiter's the groom and Venus is the bride. So you can see that looking at the chart, there's an opposition. So it seems like there's going to be some wobbles there, some tension. However, there are nice aspects as well, meaning gosh, because of Saturn and Moon there, that means a long time. So it means that, you might still, whether married or not, you will still be in each other's lives, obviously for the kids and that kind of thing for many
Mhm.
years, but does show that there is, and let me just make that a little bit bigger. Yeah. I think that's okay. All right. So, yeah. So the first thing, Jupiter and Venus are kind of at odds there. And then we also have Pluto, which represents him in the chart, and it's opposing Venus. And so, I'm sorry, not Venus, the
Taurus.
twins, Mercury.
Mhm.
So this is almost like revenge, like twins revenge. And there's this big T square there. And I'm going to make it so that there's Black Moon Lilith. There we go. So you can see that T square with the twins where there would be sudden, um, you know, acts of revenge with the twins. So now the fifth house represents Aries. And so Mars is up here. This is the family. And doesn't look too bad, actually. But in the ninth house, this can be family court. So this can play out as you have seen
For a long time in court.
for a long, exactly. Saturn, Moon for a long time. This is a very long um, battle in court. And so that would also play out. Now, and here it is with all of the, this is your birth chart. So I have this as well. I have Mars in my seventh house. And we've got, now here's a question I have for you. We look at Jupiter for husband. We can also look at Mars for husband and notice that it's 18 degrees. It's not everybody, not all of the husbands you'll ever have, but it's going to be one of them.
Mhm.
And it's in the eighth house, which is his money. So that can activate the evil acts sometimes when
Mhm.
there's anything that's and typical too when we talk about money of the significant other. But now Jupiter is the symbol in your birth chart for a group of potential husbands, and they are, and I've said this before with like Ben Affleck and other celebrities, there's something that might be similar with the husbands. Is that something that you've seen?
Well, with the chart that you're talking about now is with my daughter's dad, the wedding chart that you just spoke about.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of similarities, not in physical features or anything like that, but in similarities of revenge, court,
Oh, wow.
dragging out for long periods of time.
Okay. And with this being this is your birth chart, I think, right?
Yes,
The would your exes, would they have the same name? Would they have like the same type of like pompadour, like whatever? Is there
same
one little
initials,
the initials?
same first initial. Hmm.
Okay, interesting. And so there's also an opposition to Neptune here. And so this can show that sometimes they disappear or they ghost,
Hmm.
depending on what's happening. But interesting how they're in the ninth house too, because it means two court cases.
Hmm.
So now I'm looking at your progress chart for now with transits. And so this really changes everything. And at the moment, it's really interesting because we could look at your second husband, which would be the ninth house lord, and there's the moon right here. And Black Moon Lilith is right over it. However, you've got a trine to Pluto, which is kind of like, somebody who wants to talk to you. Would that
Hmm.
make sense?
That would be my twin's dad, the second.
Being,
We
yeah,
just got engaged. We never were married, but.
okay. Yeah, it's like it's almost an obsession of
Mhm.
wanting to talk to you or connect with you there. So and being sneaky about it with the Black
Mhm.
Moon Lilith there. So let's see. The other thing I wanted to show you, this is your transits. Okay. So there is an element here that's about to end, and it is you've got Uranus squaring these two planets right on Regulus. This is whenever you have a square to Leo, it's kind of like a bullying type of energy.
Mhm.
Would that make sense with you right now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And the eighth house would be the second house of the husband. So this would be maybe, could it be financial types of bullying?
Yes, both of them do that.
Okay. Both. And look, there's Mercury with two. So, but the good news is this comes off. I mean, it's been going back and forth and back and forth, and it's exhausting. And it finally comes off your Venus there. I think it's September 7th. So that bullying should come to a close.
Nice.
Yeah, that's good. And so this was 2019, a really tough, not, I mean, I feel bad we keep talking about all these tough times, but it's almost like, it's amazing how the chart reflected it. And this was a particularly rough year with 2019. And that's when your ex, you said, kind of went a little crazy.
Yeah. Went
Yeah.
a little sideways.
Went a little sideways. And I've seen this happened with me too, with one of the relationships I had when the descendant, which represents in the seventh house, represents this, the significant other, um, it goes into algal. And so, they've got horns, and you've got to deal with them over a few months throughout the year. And then, so interesting how the eighth house would be, run by or ruled by Gemini. So it would be, twin revenge again. So that would be very tough and very hurtful. And keeping in mind, whenever people tend to have a lot of problems with an ex, it seems like Jupiter is retrograde. It's like they're not thinking right. There's something wrong with them, and you kind of got to deal with it. But anyway, I wanted to leave on a positive note.
Thanks.
And this is currently what you're running. You're in a 12th house perfection year, and this means you're planning to start over and you're about to have a Jupiter return. So this means a whole different life.
Hmm.
And starting next summer, that's when it's like a whole new sunny. Not to say that it's not going to happen before then, but it's sort of like you're in the planning stages of who you want to be, what you
Hmm.
want to do. And this last 12 years you're going to be able to shed, which is a really nice thing, I think.
Yes, it totally is.
Yeah. As far as how you're feeling right now in the 12th house, are you, would it be fair to say that you're kind of in a support position where you're not really out there and, you know, doing things that you want to do in public right now?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of at home, um,
Mm,
privately dealing with things, not
yes.
out in the open.
No, not out in the open, kind of, you've got your secrets, or, I mean, it's not like you're keeping secrets, but sometimes you have to. And then yeah, so we're going to be starting a whole different 12-year cycle, and that to me says you have options for a relationship if you are so brave. We will just have to talk about the next wedding chart, that's all.
Yeah, seriously.
Make sure that Jupiter's not retrograde, and that was what happened with J Lo a couple of years ago, and it was like no, but it's funny. It's in hindsight you have this, this idea of what you should have, but I got married during Mercury retrograde, so it's like I had no idea, what a wedding chart was when I was getting married. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Is there anything that you wanted to add or tell, any advice or anything you wanted to tell the chat?
Well, I guess I would say when you go through these hard aspects in your chart, use them
Mhm.
as a warning, use them as a precursor to kind of see what to expect next.
Mhm.
The other thing is it helped me navigate through some of my court cases.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, that's right.
and it's just know that the moons and the planets will move eventually, and
Yes.
time, which
Yeah.
is not always your friend.
And it's about patience sometimes, but it's like you feel like you're a warrior after all of
A
this.
silent warrior.
A silent warrior. But, you've worked in law enforcement, and
Mhm.
so, that's what you wanted to sign up for. It's almost like you were made to do it.
Yeah.
And it's not something you see very often, I don't think, so it really helps us, so
And my life is like a Lifetime movie, so
I
waiting for
know.
it to go into the Hallmark.
Well, thank you, Sunny, and you can just hit leave studio if you feel like it, although you're welcome to stay. I'm so happy for Sunny that, she's finishing up this time period. Now, we're going to look a little bit at the crime chart for the Evansdale murders. I finally saw part 2 of the Max um, show, your documentary. I had only seen the first one when we talked on the last live, and oh my god, I found out that they're looking at 2 guys. Remember how we were talking about that last time? That it seemed like there were 2 men. And one of the reasons for that is that we saw this in Sunny's, her chart because she had twins. So Gemini is going to be the twin sign, and there's a lot here. So what was happening was there was a twin case, and that case was, let me pull it up. There was another 2 girls that were abducted, and they think this guy had something to do with it, even though the police have said they don't think he did it, but it seems as if he might have helped somebody else do it. And let me just see this here. So he killed Kathleen Shepard. She was 15, and Kathleen and her friend who survived. What a harrowing story. Unbelievable. Where they were just walking in their neighborhood. He says, would you like to mow some lawns and make some extra money? And they get in the car. Next thing you know, they say, can you take us to our parents? And then we can ask. And he's like, how about you call them from my house? And so the next thing you know, he's taking them zigzagging through town. The one girl was saying, I wasn't sure why he kept going on the gravel roads when he could have gone the main route. And obviously he did that so that nobody would see them. And then basically takes him to this hog farm, and one of the girls didn't make it. The other one escaped. So there's an interview with that girl, and as she's talking about the details, it seems as if these are twin cases. So definitely seeing that there. Now let me go back to this one. And so there's the twins. And so what's also very interesting to me is the timing. And Venus, which would be the victims, up here in the ninth house. And what's weird is nine is bridge, and Gemini is a group of bridges. So they were found at 7 bridges. It would be very hard to figure that out, even though Jupiter means a bridge too. And Venus, the chart ruler, is in a cadent house, meaning it would take months to years to find them. So thankfully, it was just 5 months, and so that was part of this crime chart. So the crime chart, of course, is the time, last seen time, and Venus was the chart ruler here. So lots, like I said, lots of Gemini, lots of twinning there. And also, I noticed too, when you turn the chart to no houses, which I demonstrated in the last show, look at how it's northeast, and this is the body. It's northeast. The Saturn is the remains. And when Saturn is in Libra, Libra means open air and open space. So does Sagittarius, but it's, they say that it's just a big open space. So that's where the bodies were found, the bodies of the 2 victims. And I believe I think they were 8 and 10. Keep in mind too, a lot of people, they compare this case to the Delphi case. So yet another case there. So does it mean that they're the same killers? I don't think so, but I do think that it's the same killers as that one that Clunder. And by the way, he ended up committing suicide. So there is that. And so that's kind of in their chart there. This is Uranus, and this is somebody unaliving himself. And so there's that element in there. So what I think might have happened, this case actually happened first, and then later on, the twin case of this case happened. So I think that's kind of crazy. Now this is Lacy Peterson's chart, and of course we're going to see Leo because we have SON there, and I'm looking at how we can figure out where the victim is. And so with Saturn in Libra, it's a wide open space. With this, it would be the moon. And this is the last seen time of Lacy. But you know what? I think there's a better chart than this. And I think I'm going to draw another chart, because I think that it was the 24th when she actually died. And I think it was the morning that he killed her. So let me look up that one. Okay, so I'm going to go here. Sometimes you really need the right time in order to map. So December 24th, I think, is what I want. That's when she actually went missing. And I think it was around the time that that Martha Stewart was on that morning. Let me see, 5:45. Okay, so I think it was 8 a.m. And it might have been a little bit later. And so this is going to be Modesto. Let's see how the crime chart changes. And let me just double check that you can see this. Okay. And I'm going to go to the chat real quick. Oh, hey, Shelly. Shelly is here. Toy, you said, I taught my kids to scream at the top of their lungs and do not stop because adults will think it's your parents. And that's what they're saying, actually, what happened with the Evansdale murders, that they were trying to escape and somebody actually saw them, but just thought that they were just arguing with an adult. Hey, Beana Chill, nice to see you. And Angel, you said Dr. Ramsland said an important piece of advice to stay safe is never to approach a vehicle where the driver is asking for directions so quietly that you feel the need to get closer to the vehicle. Yep. Yeah, that's true. And Jody says, Val, is the Destiny calendar a solar return reading? Yes. So I'll look at it from month to month. And Sweetly Morbid Bear, nice to see you. Yes. Are you talking about Sunny? Yes, she is. So, toy. I'm not showing that one. Hey, Wanda, nice to see you. Hope everything's going well with you. And all right. You're saying Mars and Scorpio. Okay, let me look at this here. So this is Lacy Peterson's chart. This is when I think around the time that he killed her. And of course, it's Mercury retrograde, right? And I think you can see it. And let me see here. Okay. So I'm going to mark this up and let's see what we can see from it. I honestly, I did not prepare this one. I'm just like, you know what? Let's do a lab, right? Now, I can't really make notes on this because it's online. But Saturn shows that the victim is already dead. So we might actually be able to see the time of death by looking at when. Okay. Could be 7. Yeah, it was probably, it looks as if the victim is Jupiter in the 11th house. Wow, look at all that Scorpio. Is that right? No, that's not right. It's 1970. Okay. 2002. Okay. Still some Scorpio here. But at around 7 a.m. on Christmas Eve for Lacy Peterson, she is Jupiter, and Jupiter is retrograde. She's in the 8th house. So, gosh, I mean, could have already happened at this point, but let's say, so she would go from Jupiter retrograde, and then she would go to Saturn, and then Saturn retrograde. Wow, how about that? So let's look at right as the ascendant, which would be the victim. Gosh, it's so sad. It's right on that cusp. And so now we're going to look at, doesn't always work. We're going to look at the no houses and see where Saturn goes. And, okay. So what's really interesting to me is that it looks as if the remains are south, okay? But my theory is that he took the remains and went northwest, which is where she was found. And she was found near the airport, which is Uranus. So I wonder if, if she was watching TV or the TV was on, she's in front of the TV. I don't know. But I think there's that. This could also be 2 airports. So we would have to look at San Francisco Bay, which is where she was found. And there would be 2 different places that they would find her and her son, Connor. Now, he had left off of Berkeley keeping in mind there's a famous jail there too. So here is San Francisco International Airport. And then what I want to do is, oops, sorry. There you go. There's San Francisco International Airport. And now I want to do Modesto, California. I don't see it. Okay, here it is. So it's really almost west. So a little bit northwest, but mostly west. Yeah, so this would be the only thing that I could see that would be a clue that the bodies, and also, by the way, you could say that the two bodies split, which is Uranus. They went into different parts of the bay. So, so I think that's a possibility there. Let me go back to the crime chart. We don't really have a good time, though. Let me see here. Yeah, Saturn is here. So that would have been early on in that morning. I don't know. I think it would have probably been, let's see what it looks like if it was Jupiter. Say it was 6:30 a.m. And now we're going to look at Jupiter, where Jupiter is. Doing this during Mercury retrograde, it's very dangerous, and so Jupiter's here. It's interesting how there is a Leo clue there. And I'm not sure exactly what that is, but yeah, so that wouldn't work. We would want more of a clue, I think, with Neptune, because that's the bay. So let me add these aspects. Yeah, I don't think I've got the right chart. I don't think this is a good one. So the only thing we can really go by is the last time she was seen by, I think this was her sister. And so what's really interesting, though, is that Jupiter and the moon is fame. And so you could tell that this case would be very famous, but you could also see that there would be famous landmarks too. And, you know, with Jupiter as as the husband, you could tell really off the bat that, that he did it. So that's what I have for that one. Do you guys want to look up any other missing person cases? That's right. Yeah, I don't either. Toy. You said try 9:30 a.m. PST. Okay, I'll try that. 9:30. Modesto. Whoa, this is a different chart. Look at this. And Uranus is right there. That would be total shock by the victim. You often see that when somebody strikes, they are in total shock. And Okay, so now let's look and see. And by the way, I think usually with Uranus, it shows that there is, um, you know, the victims are, what's the word for it? Decapitated, or not decapitated, but they're cut in half or split up. So that could be the case. But yeah, it's still a little bit. Saturn is right there, but it shows that there are interesting. It's not only Lacy, but it's her child. So there are two bodies. So you can see that from there. And there's Saturn, or I'm sorry, there's Sun there, and yeah, look at this. This is a good time. I think this is a really good time because you can see the seventh house oppose Uranus is husband strikes. And, there's Leo qualities there. It's like a pounce. There could also be other Leo types of clues that are part of this case. Put doubt to him if not for the Amber Fry calls from what it was in Paris or something whilst Lacy was missing and was on national TV. I agree, Angel. Scott Peterson just has the strangest energy. He never seems to be remorseful or sad at all about what happened to his wife and unborn son, in my opinion. Even now, always the same flat demeanor. Yeah, I think so too, Zebra Girl. The split up could mean that the baby was separated. Ocean mystery confusion, yes. Toy, you think it was 9:30-ish, 9:30 to 10-ish a.m. I've never doubted he did it. I had a class yesterday and it was amazing. We looked at Charlie Anderson and actually talked to somebody who knew him and his wife. This is a man who was killed in 1987. He was a law enforcement officer. And it was wild seeing not just, me looking at the chart, but the information from this person who knew we think the perpetrator. And so it all sort of came together in the class yesterday. It was pretty interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. It's playing with my computer. It's playing with my chair. That's what I'm going to do. Wow, I've got 56 people watching. I'm shocked. All right, so I better make this pretty interesting now because I'm just kind of lagging here. But this is the Lacy Peterson chart. And Uranus is here. Uranus would show me like right away that there was an airport that he's headed straight towards the airport. Now, not to say that he actually went to the airport, but that would be the direction. So, and I've said this in my book too, look at the clues before you try to map, because sometimes it's going to take you in a different direction. All right. So let's see, what else can I do? Okay, the Delphi murders. Let's do the Delphi murders. I want to map them. And I mean, obviously, we know where they went. They were taken northeast of that bridge. And I believe that it was February 13th. We see the 13th a lot with these crime charts. Kind of weird. Makes me not want to do anything on the 13th. It's the 18th right now, or the 18th. We've got the twins, and that's two victims. So this is really when they were dropped off at the bridge, I think, and I believe it was around 2. And I think with these crime charts, it really emphasizes how the start of something is so important. This is when they set off. I'll bet you the ascendant was even at 29, but we'll say it's at 28, 135. And I just remembered Scott said something to law enforcement about getting a cadaver dog. That would indicate he made sure she was killed after leaving the house. Northeast. So you look for Saturn, and Saturn in Sagittarius is a bridge. So the bodies are by the bridge. What do you guys think about that case? Do you think there's more than one perpetrator? You could say that it was Mercury and they were right here. And they were on the high bridge. So Mercury is up on the ninth house is bridge. So it really shows what was happening there. But we've got the perpetrator here. And what I think is so interesting, the perp is Jupiter retrograde. No good. And you can see the T-square here. And that he would be shocked. He would be totally shocked that he would get caught. So now what I've found is that the trajectory of the case is dependent on Saturn and what it's going to aspect next. Okay. So Saturn would be going in this direction. It would be progressing, and then it would hit Pluto. And that's when this T-square would take place and it would hit the perpetrator. So that would be the next aspect. And, it depends on some of these crime charts. Some of like these houses can just be could be like 5 years, but you can tell that it would be a significant amount of time before that happened. And, yeah, so there are the bodies on the bridge. And the other thing too is that we have Neptune really high up in the top of the chart, and that would show, occult. It would show water. It would show. Let me see if I can add some minor aspects to it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, normally we would see Mercury and it would aspect Neptune, which would be like child abuse, but you don't see it as clear here. But as the time went by, so there's 135. So Mercury is going to turn to, sorry, I'm just like talking this through. But Mercury is going to turn to the moon. And that's when they get hurt. You see, 22, Chiron is killed. And that T-square comes in. Have any of you looked at this crime chart recently? It's pretty wild. So, yeah, and there they are down in the 4th house in Virgo. So then what happens is, well, I've got to advance it a little bit. So let's say it's 2:15, which I think is the time when everything was really, the crime was going on at this point. And so the moon is at 29 degrees, which would represent the victims. And at this point, Saturn is the perpetrator. So, and he gets away pretty fast. Look at how Saturn trines Uranus. You can see that he gets away like that. But it also seems as if he has help too, somehow. Now, they talked about how the way he looked, the Delphi murderer, was bloody, and he looked shocking too. It was like blood all over him. So that's that Aries right there. So, and with Pluto squaring Uranus and Aries, this is a lot of blood, not to be graphic. But the 3rd house is the neighbor. And so the sun is up here. And I really do think that there was something happening where the neighbors knew each other. There seems to be more than one person, I think, that is that's responsible for this. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's usually one of them tries to help the other one, and obviously it didn't work in this case. Um, I know the whole thing with the neighbor, and you could see that really early on in the case. But what threw me off was that the neighbor was so open to talking about, the fact that he wasn't involved, and he talked to all of those bloggers, and I wasn't sure. It made me feel like, well, why would he be doing that if he was guilty? But some people like all of the attention, obviously. Yeah, it's true. Toy, you say like lightning, but almost right there too, if that makes sense, like crawling back under your rock and covered by your friends. Yeah. So zebra, you say yes, cult. Okay. Janie said, was it ever determined whether Haley Dunn was pregnant? Mm, you think the Delphi murders, the catfishing has something to do with it? How else would he have known to go there? I think that one of the girls gave them the location. Janie, Haley Dunn. I gotta remind myself who that is. Okay, so this was a cold case, but there was an arrest. And still says it's unsolved. And this is Texas. So Haley Dunn, 13, was an outgoing 8th grade student at Colorado City Middle School, located in Mitchell County, Texas. Haley was a cheerleader, active in sports and band. On December 27th, 2010, Haley was last seen leaving her mother's house to go to a friend's house, but never arrived. On December 28th, 2010, Haley's mother reported her missing. On March 16th, 2013, the remains of Haley were located near Lake J.B. Thomas in Scurry County, Texas. Oh my God. Sean Adkins on June 13th, 2021, was arrested for the murder of Haley Dunn. At the time of the offense, Adkins was the boyfriend of Haley's mother. A crime that is all too common, unfortunately. Wow. So let's see. 12:27. I wonder what the last seen time was for that Haley Dunn. I usually like to say timeline. Wow, this is Lubbock. This is where a friend of mine lives. She was 13. Blue eyes. Looks like blue eyes to me. I don't have a time for her. I'll have to look into this. Thank you for letting me know about it. They found her remains, but they would not release them to the family. What? I know. A lot of police officers, they just don't want to get into it. They just aren't interested. They're not curious. They just want to move on to the next thing, and it's really sad. All right, so I wanted to go back for a second and hold on one second. Okay. I want to go back to Ryan Reynolds' chart. This is his solar return. And not to change gears from true crime, but I did a lot more work on the relationship charts this time. So this would have started his October 2009 chart. So October, we would start October 23rd, November 23rd, December, January, February, March. March is when he would start filming The Green Lantern. This is a major month here. And this is when his wife would be completely outraged because you can see that Mars there. So he's having to deal with her being very, very upset. Maybe she didn't know who he was going to star with, or I don't know, but it just seems like she was taken because of Mars. She was blindsided by something. And yeah, so there's that T-square. This is a major, when you have a T-square in your solar return chart or in a crime chart, this is the main challenge of your year and something that you have to deal with, but it's not for every month. It's the months usually that are part of this T-square, or if there is a planet that's part of the T-square, and pretty much it's about 3 or 4 months where it's intense, but it doesn't mean it's the whole year. So that's at least something. But and fifth house would be his girlfriend, who would be right here. She'd be a secret. And you can see the sun, you're also the sun in your solar return charts. You can see he's getting along very well with her, with his co-star. But there are no boundaries. Neptune is not able to establish boundaries, or they don't want to. And they're in a hotel. So that's Neptune. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting with his chart. So let me know what you guys think about new cases that you're interested in. I still have the Elizabeth Taylor one that I got to get to you, as well as the Lord Kingston. I'm like in the middle of both of them right now, editing. So hopefully we'll get that to you this week. I know we have 2 T-scores with this full moon tomorrow. I know I'm hiding. I'm going to be sleeping. Thanks, Angel. Oops. Oh God. Oh, that's why they didn't give her the body. Give them the body. Ugh, just disgusting. And when there is a pregnancy, it's such a motive to to kill. Yeah, I know. It's gonna be a doozy. Should we look at Donald Trump? Let's look at his birth chart. Donald Trump. And we'll look at his solar return chart, and you can see that I've already done that too. And the solar chart showed us correctly when he would have some upsets. And the fact that he chose JD Vance during Mercury retrograde, well, now we're seeing it unravel for him. So that was a bad thing. But Kamala did it too. So I'm not sure if she's going to be too thrilled with her choice. We will see, but let me just pull up Donald Trump's birth chart. And then what I'm going to do is go to his solar return 2024. And so his birthday is in June, so we do want the 2024. There you go. The 2024 year. So this would have started in June. And the moon would activate. So, June 14th to July 15th was pretty rough for him. But then after that, July 14th to August 14th, that's when that sun activated, and he was in a T-square. So, and he thwarted death, which is kind of crazy. You would have to really put on all of the aspects, though. And yeah, so you could see that now the sun, he's kind of hiding here in the 12th house, and he's going to go to the hospital too. So that 12th house really showed you're going to look when you want to look at you're going to look at the sun, and you're also going to look at the rising sign for your solar return chart that month. And it looks like a doozy. So let's go and see where we are right now. It is June, July, August 14th. So whoa, he better be careful. This is yet another house that starts in Leo. So, and I said it before, he has to be careful. This is now Neptune can also show, sickness too, and there's COVID going around and whatever. So that can, and with Leo, that's the coronavirus. So that's a possibility. But it looks like another tough month for him. Then let's look for the good month for him. Moon. Sheesh. When the moon is all like in those red squares, it's difficult emotionally. And also keep in mind that the public moon is very critical of him. And so he's really going to get it's so much criticism. Look at how moon is in Virgo and it's squaring Pluto, which is a ton of criticism. It's crazy. Yeah, I do too. Toy, you're traveling again. Yeah, I know. So am I. Toy, where are you going? You've got to drive almost 1,000 miles tomorrow. Keep your positive vibes out for me. I usually do well on full moons, while everybody else does not so much. Well, be careful. You might get a little traffic, and hopefully not. Just be careful. I hope you're not going to any events. So a lot of people get COVID when they travel during Mercury retrograde, and I mean if you're like attending like a big event. Okay. Oh, you're traveling. Everybody's traveling. What are you doing? Well, I hope you're going on roads that you've been before. Okay. So we're looking at Donald Trump's solar return chart. This is a month-to-month calendar. Isn't it amazing? Like it's only been it hasn't been that long since I've been using this technique, and it is just so spot on. It's crazy. Now the North Node, it's way up at the top there in the 10th house of his career. It's in Aries, so this could mean that he gets mad about his career, which, I'm sure he hopes that that's not the case. But the first positive month for him, it's tough because let me show you. We've got June, July, August, September. He better duck. That's all I can say, because of that T-square. But the most dangerous time for him is right in the 5th house month. So that is June, July, August, September, October. Wow. Yeah. Because October is the Pluto month and it's squaring Mars. So this could mean a lot. It could mean a dangerous time. And that would be for Donald Trump right around the election time. So it's almost like he'd have to take cover. He really would. He's going to have to disappear for a little bit. And let's see what 2025 is, what he's doing. People are going to see him as a Virgo rising, and he's going to be Mercury. So he's going to be up here in the 10th in Cancer. Sextiling Venus in the 8th. So that's very interesting. All right, let me add some aspects here. Hmm. Well, when you have the South Node right on your ascendant like that, it does seem like you're stuck, uh, if you have those red lines going to it, so the squares. He's got a big T square, and he's stuck up here. That's weird. He's stuck up in his career, um, and it's in Gemini there. So there's something that has to do with twins. Um, hmm, 2 careers. Um, hmm. South Node also means you lose weight, but it shows a great sacrifice in your year. So it seems as if he is, this is the ninth house. So this could mean that he's trying to do something and change something in court. So Donald Trump is very, very familiar with the ninth house. So yeah, maybe. I know. I do too. I do too. And his solar arc shows that. It showed a lot of luck back the first time that he ran, but now not so much. You think he's having more kids? Well, let's look. All right, hold on. Now that would be a shock. Okay, let's see. Let's look at his transit. And whoa. So, yikes. He's got Saturn. Oops. Here we go. Saturn is squaring Uranus right now. This is tough. This is partnerships. Partnerships are cold. He thought he was going to have a partner. This could be his vice president too, and there's a possibility they might stop that partnership. They would be wise to do that. So they're thinking about it. They're going cold on the partner, and the thing that he does have is he's got a nice grand trine. This is just for the moment because of the moon. This will move on, but there does seem to be something going his way. Well, I don't know what it is, but more twin energy there. So interesting that we see this with King Charles, and now we're seeing this happen with Donald. It could be the trick up his sleeve. I don't know. Um, but at the moment, Uranus squaring Mars, I mean, you have to be careful when you see something like that because that is weapons. That's weapons that fire, and it's in public. So he has that Uranus going back and forth, plus the fact it's right on Algol, which is the devil degree. So really dark energy that is aimed at him at the moment. He had better be careful if he wants to, you know, continue on here. So I think so too. I know all of them do. Do I ever look at Melania? I do sometimes. Let me see Melania. We can look at her solar return chart. And if anybody's interested in a solar return chart reading, I have a pre-recorded option, super good price. So you'll have to check out my website. What is it? astrologywithval.as.me. Melania's birth chart. I was looking at some of the prices of some of these astrologers on TikTok. Oh my God, they're like 250, 350 an hour. I'm like, I wonder if people are paying for that. And I wonder if they're getting a solar return chart reading because that is some serious forecasting. Not to toot my own horn, but my God, people want to know what's happening or what's coming up. Oh, you know why I don't check hers too much? we don't really have a good time for her. I don't think the internet has a good time for her, but I am gonna put in Palm Beach. I bet we could rectify it. I don't think that she is a Leo rising. um, what do you guys think she is? I think she's probably a Taurus. Luxury, or Libra, probably a Libra. But anyway, let's look at her solar return chart. And this starts on April. So she just had her birthday in April. And this is obviously, wow, Donald right there in total shock. And, for the most part, it looks like there's the twins again. What is up with that clue? Do you think that he's going to let go of JD Vance? I think he might have to cut his losses there. So for her son, like you want your son to be in a good place because it shows that you're going to have confidence. You're going to feel good. It's your body. But hers is squaring Pluto this year. And when that is the case, you are trying to become your next version of yourself. And she's kind of stuck right now. She's sort of like waiting for things to happen. She doesn't know where she's going to live next year. She doesn't know what's going to happen. And now they're recruiting her son to help Donald. And it's sort of like a weird, I can imagine, time for her. Now, let me look at when you have solar return years where the sun, is really good. You've got a nice blue line, maybe a couple of blue lines to your sun. It is like you've got so much confidence and you feel just vibrant. I love those years. So you have to look back in your solar return years, check out the years that you felt really good if you remember when that happened, and see what your sun was doing and where it was. So so right now, since I don't have a good time, it's really hard to do the forecast calendar for her, but definitely something is happening here with Mars and Neptune. Ooh. Now Neptune and Mars is a boat. So this could be a yacht where she's on that. So we might be seeing her on a yacht this year. Her biggest challenge is going to be Saturn, I think. Saturn is just going to hold her there, like I said, and just delay things. And it's going to be very difficult. But it sure looks like her husband, which is Jupiter, has got a scheme. It's trining Black Moon Lilith here. And it's in Virgo. So seems like there's some kind of work scheme, but it doesn't work because we've got something here. This is like a spy. So there could be some kind of, that already happened. Wow. Didn't Israel or somebody hacked him? And now all of these emails are coming out. So we're already seeing how the spying is coming in. And how would you know that? You would know that because of the opposition. Whatever you're looking at, if there's an opposition or a square to Black Moon Lilith, this is something that is sneaky, that is nefarious, that is going to cause you potential trouble if there's some red lines around it. So he's definitely dealing with some spying. He's got to lock it down. Yeah, I know. I think so too. Oh, thank you, Janie Doe. The only thing that I am concerned about is some people don't know that you really do have to wait for your birthday until you make it the 2024 chart. Otherwise, it's the 2023. It can be kind of confusing, and you can make yourself a little bit crazy. I remember she allegedly hated living in the White House. I would be okay with it. But if you think about it, as an American, it'd be so interesting with the history, but it's sort of like me going over to Slovakia, and it's this amazing house with all this, history, and it's kind of like it doesn't speak to you as your own home country house might, if that makes sense. I don't think so either. I think she's like, I think she might be a Libra. She doesn't look like a Pisces. Yeah. Ooh, he's a Pisces rising. Look at that. Now let's look at Daddy. Oh, look at that. Dad is Saturn retrograde, but it's in Leo. So, the king, but he's older. So, nice grand trine there with the blue triangle. He's very famous. But interesting how Baron's son is on sheet. So, has to be some care taken when it comes to not only him, but his dad. It means, potential tragedies. A lot of times it can show drowning types of things, usually when you're younger, though. Now, his mother is Sagittarius in his chart, and that would be Jupiter retrograde. Wow, both of his parents are retrograde, and his mom is Jupiter in Scorpio squaring. Oh my God, all of that Aquarius. This woman's going to get a divorce. Okay, so let's look at his solar return chart. Shoot, sorry. Did you guys not see that? I know. Have you a chart for Jack O'Sullivan missing from England? I don't. I'm starting to lose my voice, so I'm going to probably do that another time. Yeah, he seems like a sweet person, but hopefully he doesn't get molded into something, some far right crypto king. Now let's see here. Where did I just put it? Okay, so his solar return chart. Now we can see his dad in here. We can see his mom. And this is Baron Trump we're looking at if you're just joining us. Because we're interested and we're curious and we're nosy. I am. Now, wow. Oh my God. All right. So we can look at a couple of planets for Trump. Saturn would be one of them in the 8th house. Yikes. But we can also look at Pluto. Whoa. That is really interesting. We've got a T square with Donald here. He's trying to get up there. His 10th house, his dad's 10th house, is led by Leo. So it would be the sun here. Sun conjunct Neptune, which would mean smoke and mirrors. And it looks like it might be too difficult to become president for him. Now, again, we're looking at Baron's chart. So we look at Pluto for dad because it's the 4th house in Scorpio. And the 4th house is, here's the thing that's weird. It's somebody else's house. And this just started in March. So I'm not sure what that means. Maybe he's trying to live in somebody else's house and dad can't do it. But there is something here where there's Neptune involved. And this could be fraud. It could be fraud. Could be something I don't know. I don't know what it is. but there's just too much, I think, that is plaguing Dad. I mean, the fact that his dad is in the 8th house this year, that's not a good place to be. And then we've got the MC this is his mom, Venus. Wow. So his mom and dad are next to each other in the 8th house. I don't know what that is. That could be it's independence. It's Jupiter and Uranus is like a big shock. Not another big shock where he gets put into the White House, but it doesn't. This is definitely like, let's look at the month that his dad was shot, right? So March, April, May, June, July 20th to August 20th. I think this was the month, right? Jupiter's up here. Wow. So, yeah, this would be a shocking month. Jupiter and Uranus. Big, big, big shock. Wow. So, yeah, that would play out there. And part of fortune is in the 5th house for that month. So that gives a good luck type of energy there. So it worked out for the family. Anyway, I am losing my voice. I know. Thank you, Zebra Girl. Thank you for listening to me meander tonight. And I'm going to edit this and put it on the members side for a little while so you guys can see it. And I will be back next Sunday for another Live with Val. I'll be on Friday with Amber for the Royals. Did anyone see that Prince Andrew and King Charles are coming to blows? And now King Charles is taking his security, and it's in line with that prediction that we were talking about with the moving scheme. That was King Charles' moving scheme. So that kind of played out. Thank you, Jody, and thank you, Angel D. I know, I am too. All right, have a nice night, and I'll see you next time.